For so long, we've been waiting for Luffy's dad and his revolutionary army to make their move. But what if I told you that they already moved against the world government while we were all just focusing on Egghead and Elbaf? In fact, Monkey D. Dragon is launching the final war against Emu and the world government right now as we speak. So let's get into it. You guys know the drill. If you enjoy my One Piece content and you want to see more in the future, leave a quick like and comment right now for that YouTube algorithm. And if you still haven't subscribed to Anime Uproar, do me a huge favor and subscribe right now. It is completely free, but it helps me out a lot. Okay, so since way back in early One Piece, we've all been begging for more information about Luffy's father and Garp's son, Monkey D. Dragon, and his revolutionary army. As the commander of the revolutionaries, Dragon is committed to taking down the world government, and they consider him to be so dangerous that they refer to him as the world's worst criminal. But until now, Dragon and the revolutionaries have always been way off in the background of the story, with brief hints as to what they're actually doing in the form of a Sabo flashback here or like a Kuma backstory there. But that is finally changing, because if you look at the last few arcs, you will notice that the pace of new information reveals about the revolutionaries has been increasing rapidly. And we even know what exactly they're doing right now to bring down the world government. However, the fans have been waiting for Oda to give more screen time to Dragon and the revolutionaries for so long, and their absence from the main plotline of the story has become a massive meme in the community. The fact that Dragon isn't really a part of the story yet, like 1200 chapters in, has become a huge point of discussion. And every time even a single panel shows or mentions Dragon, the community is filled with memes about how he's definitely, totally, 100% not going to do anything again. But even though these memes are often funny, they're not exactly true. The Revolutionary Army has been doing stuff in the background, and I don't just mean recruiting characters that we've gotten to know over time like Koala, Sabo, Kuma, Ivankov, and so on. They have been recruiting, but they've also been securing and stockpiling weapons, liberating kingdoms on the periphery of the world government's domains, and so on. Not only do the revolutionaries liberate these kingdoms, but they do it in a way that encourages and empowers the local population to take an active part in rebelling against their oppressive rulers. So the revolutionaries won't just invade a kingdom, destroy the government, and take over everything on their own. Instead, they will motivate the local population to join the revolutionary army and take up arms against their own oppressors. And let's be honest, Bello Betty's devil fruit powers that increase the morale and unlock the hidden potential of others definitely help in the recruitment efforts. Like I said, the world government considers Dragon to be the world's worst criminal, which is saying a lot in a world full of overpowered pirates, warlords, and underworld bosses. The interesting thing about the revolutionaries is that their own leader Dragon was once a marine, and Dragon's father is a high-ranking vice admiral. And yet, the Marines and the other forces of the world government are the main enemies of the revolutionary army. It's also interesting to note that the revolutionaries sometimes fight against pirates, just as the Navy does, as we saw when they battled the Peachbeard and Blackbeard pirates. But at other times, the revolutionary army might use the actions of pirates to their advantage, like they did after the Straw Hat Pirates and the Heart Pirates took down Doflamingo in Dressrosa. The revolutionaries are divided into 5 different armies, with each of them operating in a different part of the world, including all 4 seas and the Grand Line. And again, even though their activities have usually been in the background of the main storyline, they have been making moves. They rescued the people of Great Terminal 12 years ago, they liberated the country of Tumi, overthrew the oppressive government of the small country of Vera, freed the country of Centauria, and scored additional victories in the South Blue, freed all the slaves at Tequila Wolf, successfully infiltrated Marijua, and so on. So the revolutionaries have been making progress behind the scenes, they just haven't been attacking major strongholds of the world government, at least not initially. More recently, the revolutionary army has been targeting the very heart of the world government, Marijua itself. When the revolutionaries infiltrated Marijua during the Reverie, they achieved multiple very important tactical goals. They managed to rescue Kuma and the rest of the slaves in Marijua, which was the main goal, so it's the goal that most people remember the clearest, but that was not their only achievement. They also won a huge public relations victory by attacking the capital of the world government, the very heart of the entire corrupt system. The fact that they were able to accomplish this proved to everyone that they were a powerful force in the world and that they posed a serious threat to the world government. Their surprising success at Marijua led many people all over the world who already opposed the world government to join the revolutionaries in their struggle. On top of that, and a lot of people tend to forget this, but the revolutionaries also intentionally destroyed the food storage of the celestial dragons, which was being kept at Marie-Joie. Since the celestial dragons live all the way on top of the red line, and since none of them do any real work, let alone hard work like farming, they have to import all of their food and most of their other goods from other parts of the world. And of course, those other parts of the world are often very far away from the top of the red line. So taking out their food storage is actually a big blow, especially knowing how spoiled and lazy the celestial dragons are. So it's not going to be easy for them to recover. That is especially the case because A, the revolutionaries also liberated the slaves who were normally used for the forced labor at Marie-Joie, and B, the revolutionaries also implemented a sort of trade blockade of Marie-Joie. In chapter 1126, Lafitte confirms that after the revelry, the revolutionaries began blockading food shipments headed for Marie-Joie and sabotaging the gondolas at the Red Line to ensure that no food can be taken up to the Celestial Dragons. They also attacked Umit Shipping, which is known for delivering goods to the Celestial Dragons in Marie-Joie. Essentially, the revolutionaries are conducting a type of siege against Marie-Joie and trying to starve the Celestial Dragons into submission. If you're not familiar with siege warfare, it's pretty simple. When your enemy is holding a well-fortified position and you can't attack it directly without suffering a ton of casualties, instead of attacking, you surround and blockade the enemy position. If the enemy can't break the siege, eventually he will run out of food and other essential supplies, and he will be forced to surrender. And if the enemy doesn't outright surrender, he will now be so weakened that he will be much easier to defeat once you finally do decide to attack. Now, it wouldn't be fair to say that the revolutionaries have surrounded Marie-Joie, so it's not a literal siege, but because Marie-Joie is so hard to reach, it's hard to get supplies up there, and so the revolutionaries have been effectively targeting every attempt to supply them. It's ironic, isn't it? Marie-Joie's location atop the highly isolated and difficult to reach Red Line makes it like the perfect fortress. But at the same time, that is exactly what makes it so easy to blockade, because it's so hard to get supplies all the way up there, especially if an entire army of revolutionaries is sabotaging you at every step. Now you might be thinking, well, if the revolutionaries were able to infiltrate Marie-Joie once, why can't they just do it again? Why even bother with sieges and blockades? Well, it's one thing to get a small group of people to infiltrate a fortified position and cause chaos from the inside. The revolutionaries were able to do that during the revelry, but it is quite another thing to directly attack, fully conquer and subdue, and then hold such a position. Yes, even though it's a highly fortified position, attacking Marie-Joie isn't impossible, and we've seen it multiple times in the past 200 years. We've seen infiltrations by the Iron Giant, Fisher Tiger, the Revolutionaries, and Berserker Kuma. But actually taking over Marie-Joie in direct combat is a more challenging task, and that is why the Revolutionaries are being cautious and taking their time. They want to weaken Marie-Joie's defenses as much as possible, cause chaos and panic amongst the population, and drive the Celestial Dragons near madness with the blockade before launching an all-out assault. But believe me, the assault is coming, and it's coming soon. That is exactly what all the clues that Oda has been leaving for us are pointing to. In chapter 1125, Dragon says outright that they have to act quickly because Vegapunk's revelations about the flooding of the world changed everything. Not everyone who heard Vegapunk's warning is going to prepare for the looming disaster peacefully. Dragon says this demands a swift resolution, because it won't be long before the people of the world begin to fight over safe ground. But what exactly does Dragon mean by this? He means that the revolutionaries have to move immediately and launch the final war against the world government right now, because this very moment could be the best opportunity they've ever had. But if they fail to seize this moment, the entire revolutionary struggle could fall apart and the revolutionary army could become useless. Now, there are definitely going to be some people who will refuse to believe Vegapunk's message because living in denial is easier than facing such a harsh truth. But Vegapunk was known throughout the world as a genius and the world's greatest scientist. So I would bet that most people will take his warning seriously. The revolutionaries now have a golden opportunity to rally the people of the world to their cause by saying, hey, look, the rulers of the world government are trying to flood the world and kill us all while they stay safe atop the Red Line. If you want to stop their plan before it's too late, and if you want to save your life and the life of your loved ones, you have to join the revolutionaries right now. We have to overthrow the world government before they can flood the world and kill us all. Even in their wildest dreams, the revolutionaries couldn't have hoped for a better opportunity to rally practically the entire world to their cause. And yet, as Dragon pointed out, they have to act right now because if they don't seize this opportunity immediately, they could lose everything. That's because if people start thinking that there is no hope and that the flooding can't be stopped, instead of uniting against the world government, they will panic and turn against each other. Instead of putting up a united front together with the revolutionaries, they might start killing each other pointlessly over the land that's located on higher ground and that won't sink quite as soon as the lands on lower elevations. If that were to happen, Imu and the Gorosei would just watch that unfold and laugh, because they couldn't care less if some NPCs murder each other over livable land while they remain safe at the very top of the world. So yes, after all these years and decades of waiting on Dragon to finally do something, he now really is gonna do something because he doesn't have another choice. After more than 20 years of preparing, he finally has to act. He has to start making the big moves now. He has to initiate the final war against the world government. And because Dragon, as the leader of the revolutionaries, has to spearhead this war, his leadership and his character will finally become the focus of One Piece, or at least a bigger focus in the story. And that brings me to the final part of this video. Who is Dragon anyway? And how did he go from being a marine and the son of a vice admiral to becoming the world's #1 enemy, a man that the world government fears so much that they refer to him as the world's worst criminal? One of the major motivations behind the founding of the Revolutionary Army was the tragic Ohara incident, which occurred 22 years ago, and after which Dragon tried to recruit Dr. Vegapunk to his cause but failed. However, this was not the start of Dragon's revolutionary activity. Even before Ohara, he engaged in smaller scale revolutionary action through a smaller group known as the Freedom Fighters. But after Ohara, Dragon expanded his operations, founded the revolutionaries together with Ivankov and Kuma, and restructured the Freedom Fighters into the larger and more efficient Revolutionary Army. But that means that even before Ohara, something else must have happened that triggered Dragon's drastic transformation from a marine to the commander of the revolutionaries. For years, I have speculated that the initial incident that drove Dragon to abandon the Marines and become a fighter against the world government was directly related to Luffy's mother. I think that Luffy's mother was the one who opened Dragon's eyes to the truth about the world government. Maybe she was a slave of the Celestial Dragons who somehow got away. Or maybe she was even a Celestial Dragon herself who ran away from them because she couldn't support the horrible injustices they were committing against the rest of the world. Whatever happened to turn Dragon against the Marines and against his own father, I believe it was related to Luffy's mother, and I believe that the real truth about Dragon's backstory and the identity of Luffy's mother will finally be revealed after Dragon launches that war against Imu and the world government. And if the thesis of this video is correct, then all of this long-awaited information will be revealed very soon. Don't forget, thanks to Sabo, the revolutionaries have one key advantage over all the other factions in the final saga. They know about Imu, and they know Imu's secret power, which means that they know who they have to take down in order to defeat the world government once and for all. What do you guys think? Are the revolutionaries finally going to launch an outright war against Imu and the world government? And is that war going to be an important subplot during the next few arcs of the story as Luffy and the Straw Hats search for the One Piece at the same time? Was Dragon's initial transformation from a marine to a freedom fighter directly related to Luffy's mother? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you're looking for another epic One Piece video to watch right now, check out this video that breaks down all the key actors and all the big battles that still have to happen in the final arc of the story. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more One Piece content on the channel, leave a like to let me know. And if you still haven't subscribed to Anime Uproar, do me a huge favor and subscribe right now. It helps me out a lot and it's completely free.